name's Colin. I teach high school English in Sacramento. I also teach one psychology class, and my school is going to be going Google Apps this year, so I'm very excited about that.
Hi everyone, I'm Joan Le, and I teach Earth Science in a school in Arlington, Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C., and very excited about learning a bit more about how to go paperless.
Hello, I am Michelle Cobb. I teach at Carroll High School in Michigan, and again, I have my own iPad that I use in the classroom pretty consistently, and just am excited to learn more about what I can do with my Google Apps and so on to make it even more successful.
Hi there, my name is Nick Giacobbe. I'm a special education teacher from Chicago, Illinois. I work with 4th, 5th, and 6th grade learners, and we have one-to-one iPads. So I've been doing a lot of stuff with Drive, but looking to do more. So.
Okay, thanks for joining us. So I heard Nick say that he has one-to-one iPads. We're going to be going one-to-one iPads. Michelle, you said you have just your own. Is there any other technology available at your school?
I can get laptops that I can check out, you know, just as a needed basis. But yeah, that's what we have.
Okay. Joan, how about you?
Yeah, I actually mostly use sort of students' personal devices. We have a cart that we trade off. Every teacher that's part of the cohort gets it for like a quarter. But honestly, I find that having the kids use their own devices is one of the best ways to do it. Once you kind of learn some of the different carriers and make sure the kids are updating their software and not having them taken away from them by their parents and showing up to school without them. So all of those fun little unpredictable things. But then they download apps on their phone, Quizlet, flashcards, things like that, and they carry the class out in their pocket. So that's my preference.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Cool. I wanted to run this topic because I did a paperless pilot last year. In the second semester, we had a cart of iPads that the students could use in class, and I tried to run it all through iTunes U, which became a problem because iTunes U is really only accessible on iOS devices, and they weren't able to take them home. So when my tech department decided that we were going to go with Google Apps for our one-to-one iPads, I was really, really excited. So I haven't really gotten a chance to roll it out with students quite yet, but I've been doing a lot of research and trying to do the training modules on the Google Apps education website. And I've been a Google Docs user myself for quite a long time. And the more I think about it, it seems to kind of be a natural fit for the kinds of things I want to do, having students work both with each other and with me on their writing assignments, because I've found one of the things that happens to me when I'm working on grading at the end of an essay is I'm really thinking, man, I wish I had a time machine so I could go back and help this individual get over this one mistake, because this one mistake that keeps popping up, if fixed, would really elevate this piece of writing. And I've tried conferencing and getting face-to-face time, and sometimes if my class is up to 30, and I teach all boys, by the way, so 30 boys in high school in a room while I'm trying to talk to one of them can be a bit insane sometimes. So I like the opportunity to be able to just kind of hop in on a document that they're working on, give them some meaningful feedback, and then hop back out without being too intrusive to what they're up to.
Colin, what is your favorite app for that you use the most?
Out of the Google Apps suite?
Yep.
I just use Drive because it has the docs and the spreadsheets. I'm still very, very new to Google Forms. I'm starting to become very impressed by their awesome power and scripts, but I haven't really gotten to use very many of them in a classroom setting. How about the rest of you?
Google Docs is something that I encourage students to use. I'm learning more and more this summer about being able to get in and give comments and so on. I agree with you as an English teacher, being able to get in early and give those comments. I'm a little bit concerned about time constraints, you know, how to get everything done in the time frame in which to get it done. I saw the other day they have something called like Doctopus, which allows you to put rubrics on there. I mean, just looks like the possibilities are endless. I just haven't spent enough time in there learning it all.
Yeah, Doctopus is very powerful and scary looking at the same time.
So have you all used Octopus? I've tried to set it up before and kind of decided to put that on the back burner for a bit. Has anyone actually used it?
I sort of did a test run with Doctopus last year. I did my students writing about their reading journals. My learners sometimes don't like to go public with a blog, so this was a way for them to have one-to-one communication just with me. And so I did Doctopus with them, so they all had access to a document, and I could read it on the phone, taking the train somewhere, or it was nice that I could respond to them more quickly rather than carrying home 15 journals at the end of the week. I had immediate access. I'd get notifications when something new had popped up. I could drop in comments or write them a letter back. It was really nice to be able to send out that original template and then just have everything organized from the start. The other thing I used it for is we did an inquiry on tethered flight, so it was parachutes and kites, and I sent out a template collaboration form for the different teams, so it was nice for each team to have their own document that they were collaborating on and storing information on, and then I could pop in right before school and look at the form and see, oh, this is where the kids are, this group might need a little bit more attention. I can check their links to see if they're looking at sites that are a good fit for them. So Doctopus was a really, really strong tool, but you definitely want to take some time to practice and play before you implement it.
Yeah, I'm kind of like Joan. I backed off my playing around with it because I didn't have a roster to play with, and based on the video at upd.org, it looked like that's kind of what you need to start with. I have experimented with Autocrat, which I've used to set up a form that basically will kick a brand new, properly MLA formatted document to students through kind of a mail merge system that's automatically shared with me. Because I can see it right now, I can envision as I'm looking to try to collaborate with students on documents, I can see them having problems with sharing the files with me, and then naming them properly. And so Autocrat is a script that appears at the moment to be able to kind of ameliorate those problems, make it a little bit easier on keeping things organized. And it would actually just be a link to a form that I can embed on my school webpage on my LMS, and students could go to that anytime they want to create an assignment, and it'll kind of plug in their information from the form and then send them the document.
That sounds really cool. Do you know if, so you said MLA, do you know if it does APA as well?
It does everything that you want it to do, basically. It's just a mail merge, and so what you do is you set up a document with the fields that you'd like. So here, actually, I'm going to turn on a screen share in a second, and I'll show you what I mean, because we have the ability to do that.
One thing that I saw the other day that I thought was interesting while you're bringing that screen up is the usability of Google Forms, and I have not used it enough, but I just didn't know enough about it. I like the idea of maybe putting something on there for kids to comment on if we're giving homework, rather than kids filling out homework the hour before they have your class during somebody else's class.
What?
You know, the time stamps when they do it, and you know, I just thought that that would be a kind of a cool thing to say. I'm not a huge advocate of tons of homework, but if I want you to do it at home, I don't want you to do it during your teacher's math class, or you know, I don't want you doing somebody else's homework during my English class. I just thought that that was kind of a cool concept that maybe if I use that more often, that might be useful.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so here's, oh no, not capture. I don't want screen share. So let's see. Can everyone see this Google Drive page?
Yes.
So what I've done is I've just created the fields that I would want the students to provide the information to plug in. And then they would access the form, which would populate into the spreadsheet that you run the script on. So I've practiced with a friend, and it ends up saving a link to the document, and it sends them a copy that's properly named in whatever nomenclature system you want.
I'm sorry, Colin. Did anyone else lose the screen share?
Yes.
Okay. Not really sure how to get it back. Oh, do you guys see it now? Are you able to see the screen share?
If we click on Colin on the bottom, will it bring it up, do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's viewable on mine, but I don't.
There we go.
Okay.
You click on the screen on the bottom, it'll work.
I think that's individualized too, but hopefully the one that's going live is it now. Okay, sorry about that, Colin.
That's okay. So like all scripts, Autocrat is going to run from a spreadsheet, which I didn't realize at first. So anytime you're going to want to run a script in a Google Drive suite, you're going to have to do it through spreadsheets. But this is just a form response spreadsheet. And I loaded the script and ran it through. You can customize whatever steps you want. But to go back to your original question, Joan, you can set up your merge document any way you want. So if you wanted to do APA, if you wanted to do Chicago Manual Style, or if you wanted to do your own kind of thing for just a generic homework assignment, it's all kind of possible, and you can create any number of these that you want and then share them with your students.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Speaking hypothetically, by the way, because I still haven't gotten the opportunity to try it with real live students. But they'll be my guinea pigs soon enough.
And how are you going to have them access it? Are you going to go to a computer lab, or are you going to have, you said you have one-to-one year-round?
We're going to have one-to-one iPads starting in the fall.
Okay, great. That's your first year?
Be first year.
Awesome.
Just jumping right in.
Nice. Hey, Nick, I had a question. You mentioned that your students were not a fan of the public blogging. What age group are they, and what have you tried with the blogging?
It's 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, and there were two issues that I had with the public blogging. For some of them, they were very self-conscious because they had difficulty with spelling errors and things. And some of them were very nervous about other people commenting on their work. The other thing is they also do blogs in their homeroom. So I'm often over there supporting them with those blogs. So it was a little bit redundant, and I also didn't want them to have that additional pressure of an audience. I just wanted them to get as much product out as I could. So that was the reason why I sort of moved away from a blog for my classroom.
Okay, yeah, it just seems like blogging is something that's really gaining a lot of traction in all subject areas, something I kind of want to try this next year, and just wondering what were some of the things that you encountered. Is your GAFE account private at your school?
Yes. So we don't have Google Plus enabled, but we do have docs forms, and all of the usual stuff. But sometimes it updates a little bit later. It was only recently that we switched over to the new version of forms and spreadsheets. And so that was a nice change because they'd made a lot of changes. And I'd been using sort of my personal account for things where I wasn't mining them for data that would be private. So now that we're all back and sort of caught up. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I use Forms for everything. I'm in love with Google Forms.
What are some of the things that you use Google Forms for besides like an assessment?
Well, something that I'm actually going to steal from someone, she showed me a way that you could use it as a social and emotional check-in. So what students do is when they come in, they just fill out a quick survey form that we made together at the beginning of the year, and it registers emotional range from on cloud 9 all the way to irate or enraged. And then there's a little indicator, would you like to have a teacher conference? And if the students just make that part of their routine in the first 20 seconds of the day, I have a really good gauge of if there's someone who really needs to meet with me and they can privately disclose the underlying cause for that grief. So it's a nice way to do that check-in without checking in with each individual learner. But I mean, the sky's the limit with forms. I use them for PD. I use them to gauge information from the staff. Let me look here if I can bring this up. So I'm going to do a quick screen share. Am I popping? Is it all up?
Yep, but we're seeing an Inception style view of ourselves.
So this was just a presentation I did. So we do it for book checkout, and then I can use pivot tables to put the class data in a graph. I use it for feedback during an activity. I use it for peer feedback. We did a project where the students, we were doing persuasive writing, and so the students each picked a Kiva project, which really, are y'all familiar with Kiva?
No.
So Kiva is a really, really cool website. What they do is it's crowdsourcing projects in developing countries. So if someone wants a microloan and they have good cause, they'll write a little blurb, and then you can go there and you can fund a little bit of it. So each of my students, this was a great small amount of authentic text that was persuasive. They were trying to convince us to fund them. So they each sought out a project, then they decided which ones they wanted, and then they gave a class presentation. And so part of the feedback process was the students created a form. Well, I created the form and they submitted it anonymously, and then it gave us feedback. And some of the cool things that they wrote to each other, we did 2 presentations. There was one where they would present, and then they got feedback, and then they presented it a second time after they got the feedback the first time. So it was a nice way for the students to work sort of collaboratively and anonymously. Paperless assessments, book clubs, taking a vote.
So do you create this in slides under Google Docs and then it turns it into a form?
No, these are all screenshots from forms that I've used.
Gotcha.
Progress monitoring for behavior. Sometimes for ISAT practice, it pains me to say it, but standardized test practice. This was one that was neat. It was for an oral assessment. I had to be teaching a lesson on one floor while giving an oral assessment on a different floor. So what I would do is I would go down, grab the students, go for a walk, have them explain their thoughts to me as we sort of did a lap, and then that was their assessment. It was just a quick oral assessment. So these are just a couple of different ways that I used Google Forms, but I'm definitely in love with that.
Yeah, I see you got up to at least 101 screenshots of different forms. That's impressive.
Yeah, well, you just, you know, it builds up over time.
You accumulate them.
Yeah.
One way I use them. Oh, I'm sorry, Colin. Did you want to go ahead?
I was just going to ask Nick real quick. When you're creating those, you're doing that mostly on like a laptop or a PC rather than building them on the iPad?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't take any time to build those on the iPad. You use a desktop or a laptop.
That's what I thought. I'm going to have to make sure that the teachers at our school understand that even though we're looking to have the end user be based on an iPad, a lot of the creation of the things to begin with and the setting up of things is going to need to take place on a computer. So thank you for clarifying that. Sorry, Joan, go ahead.
Oh, actually, I have a question for you. Are some of the teachers concerned about that, or do they see going paperless as something that's going to challenge them on the planning side as well?
There are definitely some concerns about the planning, and having experimented with paperless last semester, I can definitely vouch for the fact that the planning can be a bit of a monster, especially when you're getting started. But once you nail down your workflow and you have something that you're operating on and the students are operating on, and you run through it a few times, I do find that the efficiency starts to come along. But I know that a lot of our teachers, we had iPads just for teachers last year, and there are a lot of people who still they feel like they have to try to do everything on the iPad, like the iPad is a complete PC substitute. And for running a paperless classroom, I don't think that's feasible. I don't think it's possible. And even if it were, I don't think that's desirable, because the power still of a PC or Mac can't really be substituted for. And I don't
Agreed, because I tried to go just with my iPad, because you just get so sick and tired going back and forth between all of your devices and so on, and it just wasn't feasible. Google Docs is a nice mesh into that. You can share, and there's not constantly taking a flash drive. But yeah, you're right. You can't just use the iPad. It needs to be a PC or Mac going along with it.
Now, did any of you all have pushback from your students? Because I actually had a little bit of pushback. I think it was a vocal minority. But at one point in the year, they were begging to do something on paper with an actual pencil. And that was a treat every once in a while when I just had to give them a worksheet on paper. So did you all, anyone who's sort of tried this, run into anything like that?
I wouldn't call it pushback, but there was one time where I had a group of students who sort of converged unexpectedly, and I went into the old bag of tricks and gave them, I'm sorry to say, worksheets, and they were like, whoa, what is this? I remember these, I think. And so they sort of enjoyed it. It was strange that they were so excited about it. Of course, they were really excited to go back to doing their usual routine too. But I never got pushback about going paperless.
I think I got a little fatigue. And so what I ended up doing is, the way I'm designing my class is kids are still going to have and keep kind of a writing notebook for drafting things and for just kind of getting their thoughts down. So the students will pretty much always have the option to do handwriting for themselves. But I didn't really encounter much of a pushback, as you call it, just kind of kids who would say, you know what, today I think I just want to do this by hand.
Yeah, I think maybe fatigue is definitely a better word for that. So it looks like we're wrapping up the session at, I don't know what time it is everywhere else. Here it's 2:40. I guess it's whatever other time wherever you all are. So I think we're wrapping it up. It looks like we're going to be starting the slam soon. Does anyone have anything else you want to say before the end?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for facilitating and moderating. It was great.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank
stopping
you all. Yeah, this has been pretty neat. I think we're not doing session 3. Is that what you all heard too? Okay.
I haven't been able to follow along with what's going on outside of these rooms. It's been too much.
Yeah. Well, I hope we do another one real soon. All right. Well, thank you all so much. I definitely have a lot of notes that I've taken that I need to follow up on from ideas you guys brought along. So I hope you have a great rest of your Saturday.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
Joe.
you.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Nick.